Hello there.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the Virtual Cantina Skeleton Crew After Show. If you're new to the program, introductions are order. My name is Jonathan.
I'm Mike.
I'm Bryce.
And today we are going to review episode 3 with a ridiculous title. What was the name of the title of this episode?
Very interesting as an astrogation problem, whatever that means.
Yeah, it's a very interesting title. Yeah. All right. Let's get into this. Yeah. I had to read it a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. So this episode opens up on Ad Atten with all the children's parents assembled together, waiting for news about their children. When a safety droid comes in to report that the supervisor refuses to do anything to help the children since they left the barrier on a starship illegally.
Yeah.
It's more like that's a harsh way of putting it. It was more of a we're not going to send a transmission outside of the barrier.
Well, we kind of guessed that last week because I feel like there's not going to be any compassion. They're gone. They're lost. If we go out to try to get them, it's more risk for people to find us. So I think that's kind of the plan.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do anything.
And then Wim's dad, you could tell in his mind he's hatching a plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you take the glasses off and you kind of sit there and stay focused in the minute, something's happening.
I didn't know that because I don't wear glasses. So
yeah, no, he just
gave the character glasses.
Did one of these, and he, and it kind of just sat on his face for a little bit. And
he was very quiet. I saw that. Yeah.
So you definitely tell, as much as he's, you hate to say absentee father for a lack of a better term, but he just works a lot, and there's not, Wim doesn't have a mother. You can tell he really loves and cares
a single parent.
For
he's
Wim.
a single parent, so he has to work a lot,
right,
in order to be able to provide for his son. So it's a double-edged sword because since he is the only parent, he has to work twice as hard.
Right.
So yeah. The other thing we learned too is that KB's mothers, she has 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
They mentioned that they lost the signal from her life monitor, which ties back to the Caravan of Courage, because we learned about the life monitors there, the wrist things, right? And that's the one thing that, I hang out a lot with Eric Walker, who was the original Mace, and his life monitor went out, but we never saw his body. So we always joke about how he might not really be dead. And I always tell him, you know what, maybe it just fell off. He might be still alive.
Let's talk about how tragic that was when we were kids watching that. Especially if they all survived the first movie. And as the second movie comes on, ding, ding.
But you know what? But he's not. We never saw him die. We just saw that the life monitor stopped.
Went through a lot growing up. That was hard to watch. That was that Bambi, stuff like that. I was like,
I know Bambi. Bambi's the worst, right? And then Dumbo's mom, being separated from his mom.
Life monitor thing was hard. Ewoks was my jam growing up. And
I would say Bambi's mom is probably.
I know Bambi's mom
the
is
worst
the worst.
Opening
That's
of a
the
movie.
Worst. That's the worst. Just that gunshot. I mean, for me, that's especially hard because I went hunting with my dad, and I was a kid, and I was.
You killed Bambi's mom?
I didn't shoot Bambi's mom, but my dad did, and then we brought it home and we ate it. So I'm like, oh, it was delicious, but
listen,
I was like,
that's how people lived.
I know, but the
Indians,
thing is that
frontiermen, that's how they lived.
But I remember going into the woods, and that was my first time seeing deer in the wild. And I was a little kid. I was like maybe 4 or 5, and I remember seeing them like, wow, they were so beautiful. And my dad's like, be quiet. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be quiet, because we don't want to scare them, right? And I was like, yeah, we don't want to scare them, but bam! I'm like, oh, I didn't know we were gonna kill them.
We don't
They,
want to
they didn't
disturb
prepare
them.
me.
Don't want to disturb his day, ruin his
Yeah.
day.
But so KB's mother say that their daughter have very urgent medical needs. So, we know she has the visor.
She has an implant too. You can tell there's an
yeah,
implant.
she has the implant. Mm-hmm.
So.
And then it swipes back to Borgo, right? The other thing I noticed too is inside her house, she has that mural on the wall. Did you guys notice the mural?
Oh, I did see that.
And it
Yeah.
has it's got like a history of the planet where it
It's
has
very much painted the same way as the
like,
Rebels mural. That's
yes,
very, very much the same type of
right, because it had
I'll have to pay attention to
aliens,
that.
lots
I'll
of
have a
aliens on
rewatch.
there. It
Yeah.
it reminded me of like the almost like the Jedi Temple murals where they were moving, right?
Yes, I know what you're
Mhm.
talking about.
So but it had the what's that, the alien that has the mouths on the sides?
The what?
That alien that has the mouths on the sides, the hammerhead.
Ithorian.
The
Yeah,
Ithorian has the Ithorian
the
alien.
Mama de Nance.
Yeah, the Ithorians, and then but it had different aliens on there and humans, but they were like on the mural, but it looked a lot like at the Jedi temples. But it looked really like the origin of that planet, like the founding of it. So it was really interesting that it was inside her house. So I thought that was really
But
cool.
she is considered like upper echelon because she works in administration.
Right, right,
Well, what we find out, there's definitely tiers of, so you can tell her house is a much bigger than,
right,
well, Neil's family's house and Wim's house. They're almost like identical, in a different part of the living area. Like you always see the houses on a cul-de-sac tend to be the really nice houses, and then the houses kind of as you go out of the cul-de-sac are more normalized.
And she did say she was going to go when they told her that they were not going to go after the children. She said she was going to go speak directly to the uh, to find out, to get something done about the children. And then it swipes
Mhm.
back on Borgo, right? Um, with the kids as Jod Nan would, and they ask him why he didn't free himself sooner, right? If he is a Jedi, since he can
Right.
use the Force, and then he tells him that he didn't do it because he didn't have a ship. But Fern and KB still don't believe that he's a Jedi, right? But
Well,
then
I
of
don't believe
course,
he's a Jedi.
well, yeah. But Wim does wholeheartedly, right? He's
Yes. Yeah.
such a
I
believer.
love Wim's character. I know
He's
everybody else
and he's
is KB, Neil Nation.
I know Wim. He's such
I
a
like Wim. I think he's got that unbridled enthusiasm, you know?
he's so gullible, poor thing. And
True.
Jodna says, and then they tell him, there's no treasure on Adatin. And then Jodna he tells him that's not what he's after. That he's not after that. But then of course that's what he's after, right? Because when he's going
Well,
to
right when they're breaking out, someone says it's Captain Silvo, which confirmed that's who was in
right,
that helmet
right.
at the beginning of the first episode, which if you listen, it was Jude Law's voice.
It was
So
Jude Law, yeah. Now, when he does help them get out, he does do some more Jedi-like things, though, right?
Well,
He
there we
does.
go. Sorry. I was finally trying to get this up.
Oh,
That's
you
the
did
mirror.
find it,
oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So it's
Mhm.
very it's kind of pixelated, but yeah, but it's kind of very Rebels like, almost like they're bowing.
Yes. No, you're right. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Mhm.
You can get a better look on the show. Oh, we lost her.
Yeah. But he did one of the Obi-Wan Kenobi things when he made he threw a sound to distract the guards. He made a little noise where they went the other way.
Oh yeah. And
Mhm.
you know what? That I like that a lot because that really confirmed that he was a Force user.
Yeah, he was.
And he was like, watch, like that. It wasn't a trick or nothing. It was like, there's no way that could have been coincidence. That kind of, to me, he's a Force user.
Right. But we already know from the High Republic that there's different types of Force users. So
Yeah.
he's not necessarily a Jedi. He's just he's a Force user. So that's not a question.
They talked to Jude Law, and I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, and he said, I'm a Force user, but we said, are you a Jedi? He goes, I'm a Force user. So it's pretty much confirmed.
Yeah,
so.
I never said he wasn't a Force user. I
had
you know,
speculation too. I'm like, is this real? Is this? Yeah, but
yeah, I knew the whole thing when Fern asks about, that's because you're a Jedi, right? Of course.
Of course.
Yeah. So I mean that's not spoiling going the rest of the episode. That was in the previews.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
You know. So it'd
I
be
do like it,
interesting. Yeah, well, the funny thing is they finally get to the ship just by walking through the crowd, which
I thought
kind of makes sense.
They showed Jawas, and then they show them walking. Why don't they dressed as Jawas? Something. I was like, this is the Leia hiding under Obi-Wan under his coat walking. Like, come on, he's trying to hide a little bit, but I guess
no, they just walked straight through. Yeah, that was cool. So, well, they end up walking through, right? Where was I?
Really wasn't any problem. And the next thing you know, they're on the transport to the ship.
Well, he tells him that in order to find At-Atin, he has to visit one of his old friends who is an expert on star maps. But the kids don't want to leave their friend SM-33 or Smee, and they convince Jadna that he has to go back for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh, it's just a droid. We don't need to go back for a droid. It's not a person." And they're like, "No,
right.
He saved us. You got to go back for him." And they all vote, and all the kids are unanimous, and like they don't want to leave Smee. And it's like, "Fine,
right.
I'll go." And they're like, "You're a Jedi after all. Use your Jedi magic to go get him." Like, "Fine, you stay here." They're like, "But don't touch anything because you don't want to accidentally leave me." And then she's like, "Let's leave. We should leave him." And they're like, "No."
Right.
So he goes back. And that was really cool when he does go back and he starts like turning on all the droids and they start saying different things. And the one droid's like, "Did we win?" He was like a battle droid. That was really cool. The Roger droid.
And I think specifically that one was a Geonosian droid because it was a darker brown. It wasn't the light tan like what we saw in Naboo.
Right. He was
so
I
believe
droid.
that's a Geonosis one.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as we win, and then he fell apart, which made that funny.
That was funny. And then the one that looked like C-3PO was like, "We've got to save the prince," which is like, "We got to save the princess."
Like,
that was really cool.
I was wondering if they're alluding to some story, other legend story, the same prince, like Prince Sizer or something.
Well, remember in the Droids cartoons, there was the one about the prince.
Oh, I never watched.
Yeah. I did watch. I like the Droids cartoons. I know they're not canon either, but I did like all the Droids cartoons, and I especially like the one episode with the White Witch, which was one of the vehicles that I wish they had made, but they never made it. It's a really cool one. So I did buy a 3D printed one of the White Witch because I love all the vehicles. Yeah. So I have that one. It's a really cool one. But yes, it was one about a prince who they had like made him forget he had amnesia, and so they had him as a slave.
That'd be so cool if that's what like the reference to. Like droids.
That's what I thought of, because then it was like similar to Princess Leia, but it was a male. He was a prince, and so that's what I thought of. So it was pretty cool.
I figured that had to be tied into a different Star Wars show, like Prince. Like, what are we talking about?
They have so many connections to so many different Star Wars comics and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, because even Captain when they call it Crimson Jack, that connects back to the comics too. Yeah. So we're gonna get to that later.
Well, so are you talking about the comics? Are you talking about Connor Jack?
No,
Crimson
Crimson Jack.
was the first antagonist after the original 6 issues of the Marvel comics. So he was released. Yeah, I looked him up. So he came out in issue 7
in 1977.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but he was also revived in the Halcyon comic series. When the Halcyon comics, the canon comics for the Halcyon, when the hotel.
I don't remember that.
It was I read those.
Well, they go from
like 1,000-year span.
like high. Well, it starts with High Republic because Buryaga is in the very first comic, and then I think it ends with Han Solo and Princess Leia's like honeymoon, and so there's what's that total, 4 or 5 of those, Mike?
There's like 7 of them.
Oh, really?
So that Captain or what's his name? Crimson Jack, that does come in contact with Han and Princess Leia, that's 30 years after this Crimson Jack. I mean, this Crimson Jack is 30 years after that one.
Gotcha.
So he's using that alias. It's an alias. Just like Jabba the Hutt is an alias that Ezra uses.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny? When I first heard her say Crimson Jack on the mic, I thought she said Prison Jack. I'm like, Prison Jack.
No, Crimson Jack. Yeah. When she said Crimson Jack, I knew it because I had read the Halcyon series, so I loved everything about the Halcyon when it first came out. So sad about that.
Yeah. What'd you think of? I was gonna say, what'd you think of the Kurt? What's the lady's name? The owl lady?
Kim.
Wait,
we're not there yet.
Oh,
so then
we're not there yet.
Yeah, he locates his droid, but then he's spotted by his former crewmate, Bijar Brannick, right, who calls in the guards, and Jodna barely makes his escape, but he doesn't realize that the Onyx Cinder is still tethered by the fuel line, right? And did you guys notice in the background somebody's ship was in the port? Somebody famous. There were a lot of famous ships in there.
I saw something that looked like a ghost. I know I did see that, but I'm sure it wasn't a ghost.
I didn't notice that one, but it probably was there. But you know what other ship was there?
What?
Hondo Onaka's ship.
Was it? I didn't see that.
Okay.
Hondo Onaka's ship was up there. Another ship that was up there was the original ship that was the original ship
Falcon.
For the Falcon.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard about that one. The original McQuarrie art, yeah.
Which looked a lot like the Eagle. The Eagle from Space 1999, which they couldn't use because it looked like the Eagle. So it's either the Eagle or the original Falcon. But Hondo Onaka's ship was there. Probably the Ghost too, but yeah, so pretty cool. So if you look around all the ships, there were so many.
Would we really think the Ghost would be in a pirate?
I just saw a ship that looked like it. I mean, it was pretty fast paced, but I didn't actually think it was. But I was like,
but you know what? It's very likely because these ships were manufactured. They weren't unique ships. They were all manufactured like it's like saying there was a Corvette, right?
Yeah.
Or a Lincoln.
But the Ghost was a freighter that Hera highly modified, so it is a one-off ship.
Yeah, but it's still a type of ship. So there might be something similar to it.
So it's the Millennium Falcon. I mean, it's a Corellian YT freighter, but
right,
it still has its
the bones are the same. But yeah, I'm sure the
modified
bones are the same.
So then when they're trying to escape, that was pretty cool because it was tethered, and he's like, "Oh, watch this," and that was kind of like when Han Solo's trying to show off with Leia, and then the hyperdrive doesn't work. And Leia's like, yeah, great, So he's like, it's like that's a pretty strong line. And then he starts trying to take off and is like dragging all the other ships. It's like, fuck it, let's just go into hyperspace. And they're like, wait a minute, isn't that dangerous? Let's just do it.
And then it did it, and that was a Han Solo move.
That was pretty cool. It just like ricochets.
It was like the Force Awakens Han Solo move, like.
Yeah. That was pretty
Like,
awesome.
you're gonna jump to hyperspace with inside a ship? How do you know it's
Yeah,
gonna work? I never asked that question until I've done it.
that was pretty awesome. And while they're in hyperspace, they did wake up SM-33, and he's no fan of Jods, right? He
Mm-mm.
asked the droid if the kids are really from At-Aten, and the droid says he doesn't know, but he knows they're from somewhere. And um, the kids are talking over a meal, and they're wondering about the treasure and if it has something to do with the great work, right? So they're starting to figure it out, and they wonder if it might be related to the credits that they have because they ask about their parents' jobs, their analysts and all their different assignments, and
Yeah,
they
well, I
look
think it's Wim's dad is an analyst, and Neil's parents are analysts. Obviously, Fern's mom is higher up, but I don't remember what was KB's moms. What were they analysts too?
I don't think we got a lot of detail on KB's
I don't
family.
know, but it does
I
end
can't
up being
remember.
like they start associating that their parents have something to do with the great work,
Hmm.
and it seems to be connected to their credits. And so there's obviously something that has to do with money, and those credits are very valuable,
Their plan is a giant money laundering planet.
right? And so then when they see him coming back, they cover their credits because it is really valuable. So they don't want him to know that they have those credits.
Well, and they're mint, right? Like, so the thing
Super
about the credits is they're brand new.
shiny, yeah.
So part of me is thinking maybe that's where everything is made. Those credits and everything like that are maybe made there.
I can't remember if this was a conversation I had with you or someone else about this, but I think this planet was like a vault, kind of like Fort Knox, before the Separatist War. And when it all started going crazy, I think they hid themselves so that you keep your vault safe. And I don't. I
Well,
think.
I'm telling you, it's just like Wakanda.
Yeah, I think.
Kim explains it later. She does say it.
Hmm.
She says explicitly what it was that there were 6
But
planets.
can we go back to Count Kim is what I'm going to call her, because she looks and dresses just like Count Dooku.
She does. Well, we're coming up
Where
to
I'm
that.
looking at her like, okay, so she knows all this stuff. Like, was she at one point a Jedi archivist or archivist? Like, was that something that maybe
Because she has all
she
those
did?
books.
Yeah, she's got a lot of information and a very high tech like observatory,
Hmm.
um, where she can rotate, do all this other stuff. Um, yeah, but I mean, just the way the cloak and everything, I was like,
And she's an
looked a
owl,
lot like Dooku.
and owls are wise.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, very
Uh,
cool.
Sideshow, if you're listening, get on
Make a life size
it.
one. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, it would be amazing. They did with Grogu. There, you
yeah,
could make a life size Kim, be awesome.
yep. And then
Get a
all the
shoulder
kids,
one, an automatic shoulder one.
and then all the
Oh yeah,
kids,
that's true
all
too.
the kids are fast asleep, right? Except for KB. And
Hmm.
then she doesn't trust him, right? And then she tells him she calculates the odds, and it's unlikely that he's a Jedi. Then he tells him, "We're going to be there in a few hours. You better get some rest." They land on his friend's planet, well, his friend's moon, because she's on a moon, not the planet, because it's a gas giant. And but he lands far from where she really is, because he doesn't trust her. And he's trying to explain to her that she might stab them in the back, and they're kids, so they don't really get it. So he's like, not
Hmm.
literally. You understand, right? They're like, no. He's like, you will when you get older. When you're old, you'll understand. And they're like, huh? Because they're kids, but we get it. So it's pretty cool. Um, and then Kim's already preparing to have him arrested because we hear it. Because
Hmm.
she's calling the X-wings.
She
And
didn't
so
even like hear him out. Is meaning
She says, "Oh, she's got these kids, those poor
On
things. I bet you
site.
I
On
bet you they're
site.
like." She's like, "I bet you he's like kidnapped
He
them.
kidnapped him.
We've got to do
Immediately
something
worst
about them."
case scenario.
She doesn't trust them. So
Well,
Not like,
she
oh,
said
he's
she
helping
called
them.
in. She called in, but they didn't say they were X-wings until later, right? Like when
right,
they
right,
said, "Hey, we're on our way," and then you
right.
go outside and here's these two X-wings flying
That
around.
was pretty awesome. So she calls for
No
help.
Carson Teva though. Can we
No,
talk
I thought
about
it was
that?
gonna be Carson. I thought it was gonna be Carson, but no.
Everybody did.
Yeah, but it was still pretty cool.
Oh, of
And
course.
she was totally stalling, and she totally did get the coordinates. And
Yes, and
and she called him Crimson Jack. And when I heard Crimson Jack, and I'm like, Crimson Jack, that's so cool because he was in the Halcyon Legacy, and those comics, we did read them. We didn't review them, but they're on my list of what we could review in our comic book show because we did read them.
I think
And
we reviewed the one that had to do with High Republic. But yeah.
I don't
yes,
remember reviewing any. I must
I
not have
think
been
we
here
did.
for that one.
But that it's a good series. It was really cool.
Mhm.
And but it was also, you're right, it was issue 7 from the original 1977 series of the of Marvel when they first did Star Wars. So it's really cool to make all those connections. I really like it a lot, all the little connections of to everything. Here's my little teak. So I'm really loving this show. I think it's really great, and I love how it's uniting everyone in the Star Wars community because there's really no hate with this show.
No,
Everyone loves it.
I've been
Everybody loves it.
pleasantly surprised getting even getting on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, not seeing any backlash, a lot of love. That's
I,
probably the one platform you dread to go on the day after any show, not just Star Wars, but any show, because there's a lot of
Hmm.
backlash. But yeah, it's been a lot of positive. It's getting good reviews.
And you know what I want to
Hey,
say too? It's getting a lot of love, even though this is a very diverse show. It's got male and female characters, ethnically diverse. It's got everything, and it's still
mhm.
getting a lot of love. So I'm really happy about that. So it just goes to show that if you got good stories, good pacing, good writing, good acting, that's all we have to keep giving us that. Come on, Disney, you can do it.
I
It's
want to
basically
say,
Space Goonies.
I think Jude Law has been fantastic so
Oh, he sure has. But
far.
so have the
He's
kids.
been
Everybody has.
well. I'm not saying
Oh,
him particularly. The way he delivers lines and he's so shrewd and he's just perfect. He's been one of the best actors I've seen in Star Wars in a while. I'm talking a while. So I've been real happy with his performance so far. I'm really excited to see where he goes in this. One thing I thought was really cool also when what was it the captain's name Barbosa, not Barbosa, but Barbusa or something? The dog, the wolf. What's the captain's name? That
oh
it's like Barbusa or something like that. Like
no, is
Barbosa.
it Barboa?
Let me look it up.
I can't remember now.
I
Wolf Captain Skeleton Crew. You drive me nuts.
Barbosa?
What is
no,
it?
it's not Barbosa.
Brutus. Brutus.
Brutus.
Okay.
Captain. When they pretty much just destroyed the dock on the thing, he says, "Put out a bounty." I was like,
Hmm.
"What
Oh yeah.
bounty hunters do we know in this time frame?" There's a lot. There's a lot of bounty hunters we know now. So I don't think we're gonna get something too big. I don't think we're gonna get Mando or anything, but we could get something like a Boba Fett or a Finnick. Finnick. Yes.
I don't think we would get Boba Fett.
No.
Um,
But there's a lot we
because
know.
it's
So
around the same timeline that he's basically taking Tatooine back. Um,
yeah.
I
But
think
I thought it was cool. It's like, oh, we know a lot of bounty hunters right now, so it'd be cool to see something familiar.
Hmm.
So, but that's just speculation.
That's cool.
All right, what are you guys' final thoughts on this episode?
I loved it. Even though it was short, it was very fulfilling. I'm looking forward to uh, the upcoming episodes. I wish we were getting more than just 8. Sad about that, but happy that it's very well written and good pacing and good acting and good storyline.
Yeah, I'm totally loving it right now. Absolutely no complaints, which is rare right now. So yeah,
This is kind of like what we needed, this kind of
Yeah.
show that,
it
and then we'll get, what, Andor in 4 months? We get second season of Andor,
it looks
but
fantastic too, and that's a big thing for me. Like you can tell, like they put a lot into how it looks. So
Mhm.
the first season of Andor was great, and I liked how it just was basically a year in the life of Cassian Andor, and then how they're doing second season. It's going to be 12 episodes,
4
and then
years.
it's going to be, and it's 3 years for 3 episodes 1 year, 3 episodes second year, 3 episodes third year, 3 episodes for the fourth year, and that last episode basically is Rogue One. So
Mhm.
that's gonna be hard after watching like the very last episode, not to just go watch Rogue One. And then if you're gonna watch Rogue One, you just gotta
Gotta
watch
watch
episode
Star
4.
Wars. Yep.
So it's just a marathon.
I love it.
At that
Can't
point.
wait.
But
Can't wait. Can't
as
wait.
as far as Skeleton Crew go, this is great. Sophia has really loved this show. She thought Acolyte was a little too dark, which I could understand. High Republic and um, the characters there were, the whole tone was dark. So I kind of understood why she really didn't want to watch it, but she did watch it. This show, like I said, she's watching this before we do. Like she's on, like I gotta watch it, whether family's around or not. I'm flipping it on and watching it. So I'm super happy to see that she's really loving this show because it's great. I love it.
Jonathan, final words?
Yeah, like I said, I absolutely love it. I love the way it looks. It looks like it's worth. It could be on the big screen. It's some of the last ones have been a little lackluster on that. I feel like, but this one looks fantastic. Jude Law's breath of fresh air right now. I can't get over Jude Law right now. And the kids are
Neither
great.
could Sarah.
Yeah, so it's all. I'm really happy, and I just cannot wait for it to. The one thing though, because it was filmed a while ago, everybody's getting older, and it's one thing with kids and movies and shows. You can't wait too long. So I don't
Well,
know.
that's why they said
Yeah.
they already have the idea and everything to go for a season 2, and they wouldn't want to wait because of that very
Because they're
very
already
fact.
they're already 2-3 years older. So I'm like, we gotta get this ball rolling if we're gonna do it.
And
Which I hope they do.
these kids are young, so they grow up fast.
Yeah. They're gonna already
Mhm.
have to do a time jump if they want to even do it.
But I like
Sure,
time jumps.
but
I like time
I think
jumps.
they're gonna. I think it's gonna be okay.
They're gonna be lost in space for 2 years.
I like time jumps.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, time's up. Sure,
We'll have
not
an
that.
Yeah.
animated show to fill the time. I love it. Let's do it.
And
Let's
comics.
Yes, and comics. All right, let's pay our bills real quick. Hyperspace Props is the official sponsor of the Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition in Japan. Pre-order your credits and cosplay props at hyperspace.com. Hyperspaceprops.com. Sorry about that. Use code NSVCSE for 10% off. Please patronize them. They're a big time sponsor, our favorite sponsor for the Virtual Cantina Network.
Yes, and they make really good stuff. That's
They
the
sure
other thing.
do.
It's quality.
All right, let me start this one over.
They make Atten style credits.
All right. Be sure to follow
You
us
mean
on
AT-18?
Nope, Atten.
ATATIN. Is that
It
what
might
it is?
be
They're
might be
Atten.
AT-AT in it.
Nope, they're not. They're called Atten.
Yeah,
There's no
I don't
AT-AT.
I don't dispute that at all because you hear them say at.
They
You know-
sure
No,
do.
I know. I'm just saying because
I dispute
it's an at and not an AT-AT, so I have to every once in a while go.
At.
It is an
I
AT-AT.
don't at. It's ATAT.
It's an AT-AT.
Be sure you are following us on YouTube at
and
Network.
it's not
On
8
Instagram at virtual.cantina network, on Twitter at Cantina Virtual, and on Threads at virtual.cantina network, and on Hive at virtual cantina, and on TikTok at virtual cantina. Be sure to follow us on the Facebook page, Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025. That's where we all hang out. That's where we all love to spend our leisure time. Please like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate all that, especially comments, just to engage with you guys. And anything else from you guys?
Can't wait to see you guys all in Japan. We're all going to be there. Bryce will be there. John will be there. I will be there. Teak will be there. Yeah, we're all going to be there. Yeah.
And Cassian Andor will be there.
He sure will.
Well,
He's going to be in my room.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to be in your room.
We're going to have a lot of fun, John.
Man.
Oh, boy. I thought Sergio was going.
No, he's not going. That's where we're going to have fun.
Thanks for watching.
So you and Jonathan are rooming now?
Really appreciate it. May the force be with you.
Live long and prosper.